Okay, we're going at it again. So current plan. Let's do a quick test. I want to run my big play potential just to kind of see what kind of numbers I get. Now, this functionality, it's really hard. Like I said, I mentioned before, it's really hard to test. Let's go. I'm gonna change my stream information here. Now, I am doing this because I don't know of a better way. So if you know a better way to do this, please, by all means, update me. I don't know. Um, I am sure there's got to be a better way. I just don't know what it is. There are umpteen gajillion tools, but one of the things, it's like you can run automated tests, but the amount of time it takes to build a test that's going to test my test is long because you got to pass a fully qualified player stats object, which I don't have yet. I mean, I do have data in and I got stuff I can load, but you got to load a source stats data, which of course, if you do unit testing, it doesn't actually do that. It uses mock data. So you got to create a fully qualified mock data with all of the right values that need to go into the potential skill to trigger all the functions. It's not the amount of work that goes into just building a unit test for an actual function. You're better off just, I'm trying to test the mathematical logic, not the function of the function. A unit test is great for that, and you have to do it, and I will do it. Let's see, let's close this. Let's go to my programming thing. The Golang playground I have found is actually quite useful. It just basically I just throw in my function that I want, and then I have to replace this stuff. But really what I replace it with is all of this stuff, values, right? Everything that is a predefined value. So these are just, if I want to be able to call this, I have to actually have all of these numbers, right? Which makes it kind of tricky. In fact, if you see here, I actually have to call all these numbers. So I would have to pass in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 values into my function. Not awesome. It's 13 parameters. And then I can just pass in those values and see how my math works out. The other option is I make this stuff up. It's like that's one option. But really, I should just do these, right? So if I want this to work, I need to, and basically you're putting them all in and then you're just making up all these numbers, or I pull them out of my spreadsheet, my Excel spreadsheet. The Excel spreadsheet would then, just provide me the numbers and I just punch a bunch of numbers in. So I would have to do something like format print line, and we would say something like big play result and comma, and then we have calculate big play. And I don't know, skill is kind of, I mean, I have to use skill right now, but it's, I also notice that this has an annoying tendency to tab on top of tab. Why? I don't know. All right, so I have to put in essentially 13 numbers. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the page I built this off of. and I have to go get the numbers that this is expecting to see. And I have a lot of them here. So the first one is TDs. I believe there is TD. And we'll just pick some numbers. I'm just going to see how these compare to my actual stats. So we're going to go 7, 0, 2, 13, and 4. I'll just take the first 5 guys on my list here. I'll put in some commas. And the first stat will, of course, be TDs. And then we have to do this one. I think these all have to be float 64 too, because if I don't put them in as float, any number I give that's not a float will not translate correctly. If you only pass ints, that's fine, but if I pass anything that's not, it'll choke. You don't have to put in a type as long as you're consistent with your decimals. Like even if you put a whole number, you would do some like 0.0 to show that it's going to be a float. So you or you just say it's a float, so then you don't have to put in extra stuff. Now, one of the things I'm not doing is I'm not scaling these, so I may have to add that functionality. I forgot. I need to add a scale. Rec 1 to 10 plus float 64. There are a lot of these, so I wonder if I should just go. Let's just put some stuff in here. Do some copy pasting because this might be faster. 5, 1 to 10. What we should do. Oh, no, that won't. Never mind. I'm trying to get myself a pattern here that's going to allow me to do this quickly. 11 to 20. And then I have some long names here. That was 21 to 30, 40. And then plus rush. Most of these probably are integers, but it's because I can't add, divide, or do anything with them if that might end up in a decimal if in fact they are. Yeah, considered is going to be interesting. I'm going to have to just pick some random numbers out because I don't really know. That's a new functionality I'm adding. The yak is a value, but yak considered is different from it's the average of their player, but I have to give like what value constitutes good, because if it's a 2, really the idea is that I have to divide it by there's a logic I decided on how I was going to do that. I was basically going to do a 10. I was going to take their yak average and divide 10 by it. And then divide that number into how many receptions they had. Or divide into, probably multiply by the time number of receptions they had, right? No. It'd have to be divide the receptions by. Dang it. My body's like, wait a minute, did I lose count? I only do 2. I'm about to give him 3. No, we're not giving him 3, but we should give him 3. No, we don't need 3. Ah, just get rid of it. Just do something. All right, yeah, consider. And then we have interceptions. Interceptions, both 64. And the sacks. And loss. Touches. Games played. See, this is annoying, but there's actually one other value that I don't have here, which is player.position. So we're going to go like that, and then we're going to come up here to the beginning, and we're going to go player name and player position. String, and this is string. Which means, in order for this to actually work, I need to go this. Is it player name? Player name equals this guy. Actually, I might not need that. And then, oh, oops. No, player position. Here. I feel like there's an in. There should be an in. Okay. Let me set my sentences are running there. Cleaning out my system there. Guess it's got good and bad, right? I don't even know. I mean, I don't have a cold or anything. It's just maybe too much cayenne pepper in my sandwich. I don't know. No, that wouldn't make me sneeze though. That would make my eyes water, maybe even make my nose run. That might make me sneeze. No, it's not for your benefit. It's for mine. I mean, I am kind of close to the mic. like that could do anything, right? You're like, what is that? Oh, it's you, dude. Breath mint. That would be something if mics actually work that way. It's like, yikes. You have to, everybody have to freshen their breath before they started streaming. For those people with scent mics. Yay. Gross, man. Okay, so now I got to pass all these values through. We got to comment all this stuff out. I don't know if I can even do bulk comments in this. Oh, we can't. This. Do this. Dang it. This is not a very intuitive interface. I guess I can't expect too much, right? It is a very basic, hey, at least it runs kind of thing. Basically, I'm commenting out the majority of what I'm doing here, just so that I can pass it in as parameters. But that should allow me to actually get some values. Really, this is what I'm testing. How does the numbers come out when I actually pass them in? And we're going to find out in just a moment, as soon as I pass in a full set. All right, so player name, I have the first guy on my list is Steve Smith. We'll just call him Smith. Position, WR. Let's do this. I did that wrong. This is where I need to put that. Window. I don't know why I'm doing it that way. That would mean I don't need player name at all. But I do need this other value. So we'll put Smith there, and then we'll say WR, comma, 7 TDs. Let's see, who the next guy? We're gonna go Camarillo, because that's who I'd have as a second person. Camarillo. And Walter. Man, I don't even know who any of these guys are. It's Gerald. I do know that one. And Welker. And then we already have that information. And these are all. And I should probably put in somebody who's like a running back or something. Do I have a? Geez. My highest running back on here is Joel Dressen. Who the heck was Joel Dressen? Let's do something different. Let's sort by salary, because this will just give me the top players. And they should all have a different BP. Just because that's most likely the case. So we'll sort by, we're going to go to data, and we will sort by back A to Z. No, we want to go by salary. These are just like all the top salaried versions according to this, which is not necessarily going to match because I already know for a fact it won't. Top here. Notice that when I do sorts, my rows and columns, Always say I freeze top row and freeze first column. Top row. First column. We can't do both right now. I don't know why it's still not working, because I was able to, I did do it earlier, I thought. Unlock all rows and columns to scroll through entire worksheet. Usually you could do this, and it's just not working though right now. Freeze panes. See how it's moved it all the way down here? I don't know why it's doing that. I don't want it there. I want this pane to be just top row, the left row. It's not working. Well, I have my choice apparently. I can do it that way, or freeze first column, and then I just don't move. Guess this will work for now. Maybe that's why I didn't notice it before. Maybe I couldn't do it, and I just didn't notice that I didn't have that set right. All right, so we'll try this again. So we've got Walker. We're going to change them. Walker Johnson. These are all names that are familiar to me now. Oh, geez, really? Guess we're doing Chris Johnson. And then we have Andre Johnson. And there's Steve Smith. Steve Smith. And Larry Fitzgerald. Larry Fitzgerald. Why not? Only problem with that is it's going to create a long line, but I only have one value coming through. So, all right. So Welker, I have a 4 here, and 16, 9, 7, 13. 16, 9, 7, 13. He's a wide receiver. Chris Johnson, I believe, is a running back. And I don't know what Andre Johnson was, but these guys are always receivers too. All right, let's see. What is Andre Johnson? Hopefully he's a running back also. Nope, only one running back in this group. If I want to do another running back, I'd have to go to Fred Jackson. Kind of crazy that wide receivers have higher. Is that right? Do wide receivers typically have higher salaries than running backs? I wouldn't. I don't know. Feel like. Let's see what the in the NFL. Who normally has receivers? Screen wide receivers. Wide receivers generally earn higher salaries than first string running backs. Wow. Wow. I didn't realize how big of a difference it was. So okay, so that makes sense. My math calculates out correctly. I mean, my salaries are very low on here. Like I said, as I mentioned yesterday, these salaries that I have on my spreadsheet here are designed for board game math. In other words, the stuff that people have to do themselves. So the numbers are pretty small. They're whole numbers. They're clean. in this game, they will be defined and derived to be very similar to actual. If I'll scale them to kind of a probably a maximum for a particular year. So every year might have like a salary. Well, no, I can't do it that way. That has to be based on. It'll have to be based on current salaries. And those are just the cost of getting your players onto your team. So when you build your initial team, it's going to be challenging, right? Because it's got to be do the math, and it's going to based on how much these guys cost. I have a formula and a plan for that, by the way. So when you're drafting your team, you won't be able to break your salary on the initial team build. So in other words, you can't just go, I'm gonna take the biggest guy. You could try, but remember, the other teams in the league are also taking players, and they're probably taking pretty big guys, and they're going to take. But the way it's designed is you basically are going to have to, if you somehow got the highest salaried player at every position, which you wouldn't, because that's not how it's going to allow it to happen. But the idea is that you are going to be forced to fill your team before you can, do anything extra. So your salary will actually be increased after the draft. The first draft, you won't be able to go all in on it because you'll be building your team up over time, and you're going to need money. And every player will be scaled, and this is just what you're going to have to pay them on the first shot. Then eventually you'll be able to start negotiating and working with salaries. But that first draft will be a little bit, a little bit forced. But the numbers will be scaled according to what they're running for players. So the best players are going to get blah. And it's going to be completely dependent on their actual performance, though, not on what they earned. So yeah, it's going to be it'll be fun. It'll be fun to do those numbers when I'm calculating all this out later. Okay, so I'm only going to do one running back, I guess, for now. Chris Johnson, he was a good running back, that's for sure. Obviously, the highest paid running back in this list. Interestingly enough, Chris Johnson was the second highest paid player of the receivers and running backs on my calculations. All right, so we got the next number is going to have to be, we have player TDs, 25-yard line receptions. Why not? Oh, no. That's going to be a bummer. What I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to have it do receiving big plays. I'm going to simplify. I will assume my math is correct, and this will save me boat tons of time. Just to kind of see where we get. So if I want to see, this is going to be a tough one to math out. Well, I don't have any QBs, so I don't have to worry about that. Individual passing, there's not going to be any of that. Individual rushing 10 plus. That's receiving big plays. $49? Chris Johnson had 49. Wait, what? Oh, that's big plays. 49 times. Wow, that is impressive. Chris Johnson that year had 49 runs of 10 or more yards. That is really good. I mean, he had his hands on the ball. He had his hands on the ball 408 times. That is a lot of carries throughout a year for a running back. 408 times. Whoa, they used him, man. It's like all these other guys, 300 and some tops. Wow, 400 times. That's a lot of. Alexa, what's 408 divided by 16?
408 divided by 16 is 25.5.
He was averaging almost 26 carries a game. That's a lot. That's some wear and tear for you there. I'm surprised. I wonder what his injuries were for. I mean, if he had future injuries a lot. Guys just get hurt and beat up, and injuries start to happen. You wonder though how many of those injuries are that guy is just tired. It's like he just doesn't want to try as hard anymore. I mean, you could love the game, but there's times when your body's just like, oh, I just don't want to do it. You wake up. I loved football. I would have played football given the opportunity forever. I still like the idea of playing football. If I could find opportunities to play, I would go and do it. Um, I've played flag football in recent years. I just had so much fun. It's just football. I'm telling you, man, football's the greatest. There's nothing more fun than just getting out there, even in flag football. You know, I mean, you still got that aggressiveness where you're pushing past people and you're kind of fighting for a ball, and you're trying to rip the you're still kind of grabbing at them, trying to get the flag off. It's just something, that aggressiveness that you just get to let out sometimes. And then you just leave with a sense of fire in you when you're done with the game. It's just I should look around for some more. I gotta look around, find me another flag football team. There used to be a guy. I joined a meetup. I never went and played, but this group that always played over at in an area close by. I'm telling you where, it's not going to matter. You don't have any idea what I meant. But and I kept saying I'm going to go. But the problem is they were always doing it on Saturdays, and it's a great day to do it. Don't get me wrong. It's just not a great day for me, because my Saturdays are kind of my like hang out, just relax, take it easy, and it's hard for me to get up and get myself going and go play flag football. But I should have just done it one of those days. Woke up on a Saturday morning. A lot of times I'm like fired up a whole week in Friday, but Saturday morning I'm like, I don't want to, because it's just not the day. I could do it almost any time. If they were to do it at night, or if there was an opportunity to join a league again. There used to be a league I played on, but it was a 20-minute drive every time I went. And it's like, and then 20 minutes home. And it was done late. They start like at 7 or 8 o'clock, and you play till 9 or 10, which, again, not the worst, I guess, but it was just getting late. I had to get up and go to work in the morning. I was like, if you would have played at 6, maybe 7, but 8 was just late. And they didn't really practice, or maybe they did one night. I think they practiced like once a week, and then we played on the weekends or whatever, Friday nights, which I guess wasn't too bad, but anyway. All right, so I got to figure out how to put this number in. I want to putting in the actual values here is going to make this way too simplistic, and I don't know if I can get the values I need because, shoot, I don't know if there's a good way to draw this. Short of just doing some basic mathing. Like he only had 2 receiving big plays. And then some of these guys had more, of course, because that's what they do. We got the TDs. All right, so let's just do some basic stuff here. Well, I think ultimately it just comes down to my putting this number in here, 6. 2, 14, 13, 7. 2, 14, 13, 7. Let's see, what do I have? What do I, let me do, how many more do I need? Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm just gonna put zeros for 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Because I basically just put a total in the first one. Why is that doing that? This is all, I put all the receiving ones into one category, so not going to be an exact match, but it'll allow me to at least get my numbers here. And then yak considered. Now I don't have yak considered as a value, and I probably should. I don't even have a float point for that. And this doesn't calculate that at all. I'm going to give them all the same value. That's not going to work. Yak considered is yak, but it's going to be based on, all right, let's, well, okay, so this is going to be their yak, which is fine. Well, we will do this, 5. And we'll say he's a 6. And just for fun, I'm going to play with these numbers a little. 6, say 3, and just to see what we get. Let's actually give him, no, we'll leave it. I'm good. All right, so we got yak considered, interceptions. I don't have any of that, so we'll just, these guys are going to have 0, 0, 0. A lot of values in. This is the defensive stuff, which I don't have, which I believe is just interceptions, tackles for loss, all that stuff. Total touches. Okay, so total touches I do have here. Total touches, rush attempts. Oh, I'm going to add it up, though. It's 123. I thought I had a 28, 30. Oh, 57. 157. 157. Chris Johnson, who had a bajillion touches. Oh, there it is, 408. Oh, never mind. I don't have to add it up. It's right there in front of me. These 408, 3, 1, 2, 7. That's a good variety. So we got total touches and then games played. Here. And it's basically almost all of them have the same amount. He was 14, 16, 15, 15, which I think is not going to weigh anything. 16. All right. I don't know what that's going to do, but let's run it. See how much errors I have. What? Okay. Not enough arguments. I missed arguments? Geez, how could I miss arguments? What? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. How many do I have? 1, 2, 3, 4. Try to put 5 on each line just so I can know that there's 5 on each line. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so what am I missing? Player TDs. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 receptions. Player TDs. Okay, so I have receptions. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, I should have 6 receptions. 1, 2, 3. No, it is 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, and then I have the rusher 10 plus. Oh, I didn't put in rush for 10 plus, which should come after my last one of those. Which I put in as yak, so I should have one here. All right, so I'm missing this one. And my rush for 10 plus. Here. We'll just subtract that. We'll say there's 2. 49. 14. No. 0. Whoops. Oh. Add 1. And 0. Multiple value calculator. In single context. Oh, are you serious? Is it going to get mad at me because I didn't put these as floats? Ugh. That is stupid. It can't, fact that it can't derive. Oops, this one's totally missing. I mean, the fact that a float can't accept an actual an integer without complaining. You don't have the actual decimal on it without complaining. That's stupid. See if that actually takes that one off the board. Nope. Still complaining. What's the problem now? All right, let's comment these out. Let's see if I can get one of these work first. Oh, is it in there twice? Rec 1 to 10, 25 plus redeclared. Oh my gosh, didn't I? Ah, one of these isn't binding. Multiple value. Single value context. What? What does that mean? Oh, I don't even know what that is. It's not even, it just says float 64 and bool. I don't even know why is the bool telling me it succeeded? I don't know. Check this out. Okay. Too many return values. Oh, okay. Now we have it. That means I got to take out some of these zeros. Because it wasn't that I was missing one earlier, I just had too many. Now, it might still hate the fact that I'm not. I have number, but need float 64. You're stupid. ID10T Coder. Good afternoon to you too, sir. How you doing? What is the latest with you? It is such a pain to test Go functions because I have to do so much weird machinations to test them. When all I want to do is test the math, I'm not trying to test the functionality of it. Because it's the math I'm working on, but that's... I don't like that Go floats. I know, the function is... No, I mean, yeah, it is good at unit testing, but what it's not good is for quick, hey, did this function work? Okay, I can explain better in a minute. Let me finish typing these stupid zeros. Okay, so here's my function. Okay, so really the meat of what I'm trying to test is this piece, right? But the problem is all of this piece requires pulling data from my database, which, by the way, I've only imported once, and I have a lot of methods and functions that aren't... I just built all this stuff, right? Because this is the back end. I just imported a bunch of data, and now I'm trying to read all that data. But it has the testing there for unit testing, which is fine, except I haven't fully implemented the unit testing in the player's function because it's got so much... It's getting to be a lot more complex than my other services. I have 10 services here that are all doing different things, but the player service has all these skills that need to be calculated. So they pull this data from my import, which is coming from an Excel spreadsheet, which is coming from... All the data comes from stats online. So I built all these sheets, all these formulas that were in Excel, and now I'm trying to pull them into my Go database. So I built an import process that pulls all the sheet data into my database. And then I built these functions that are reading all of those values from the database. But if I right now decided to go, hey, let's test the skill that's going to build off of these sets, I would have to build a unit tests that would unit test all the way through, like from the import to the function creations to these little methods to all of it. And right now I'm just trying to build the base layer of the structure because I'm importing these functions from my Excel spreadsheet, which was built for a board game, but I'm using that same derived skill base or stat based logic to build the formulas that determine all the skills that players will have in the game. And so I'm pulling all that in, and I'm just trying to get the basic logic in. And then once I get the math parts working, then I'll go through and say, okay, now it's time to start running through the entire process and making sure that all my methods and functions and everything are doing what they're supposed to, building in using the unit test. And I can start from the bottom up. I can go, okay, well, I have my unit test this piece and unit test that piece. It's true. I probably should have built it more ground uppy. But I have done so much parts already on this where I've got UI parts, I've got UI interfaces and stuff that I built in React and Unity. I've got my back-end services that are dealing with my player, my authentication, and my coach, and my playbook, and my simulator. And now I'm like, okay, well, I can't fully get the simulator functionality working until I have my player data. Yeah, no, it does pretty good with that most of the time. In fact, that's how I built all of my unit testing with like with my user account, my authentication. I think I even built it into my coach has it. So I have a few here that services that have built in the agent mode has built my unit testing for me and got me a pretty good set of unit tests that work through. But I've just recently, like I said, in the last week or so, really started to enhance the player service. And I just haven't stopped to build the unit testing. I tried to have it build the unit testing, but the player service is getting pretty complex with all the skill stuff and structures. And if I don't have valid objects, then it starts to build mocks for stuff that is crap. It's non-existent. They're placeholders, and they don't return the right types of objects, and it's not a valid return set. Yeah, so I do like to have it base build my unit tests though, because it's so much easier. It saves me a ton of time, but I do have to go. I I do have to really kind of baby it, right? So I let it build my unit test structure the first time through. This is one of the things I use Agent for. I often don't use Agent to allow it to edit my code that exists. I will usually use ask or some other form. Like here I'm using augment, but I don't actually let it implement code changes very often. I'm just trying out augment to see how it is. So far it's been pretty good, I guess. I don't know how much better it is than anything else. I don't know if I'm going to pay for it. Yeah, I've noticed that I there's one thing that about unit test or about AI that kind of bugs me is it likes to sometimes refactor things. This is why I don't like to use agent for things that exist already. It'll sometimes rewrite things. Yeah. I say, well, it's it'll sometimes rewrite things for no good reason. Like I've had it like I'll say, okay, what's wrong with this procedure? I'm trying to fix a bug. So it gives you a solution that changes the name of the procedure, changes, certain functionality in there, and you're like, or changes variable names just because. No good reason. It just changes the name of things because it thinks it's a better name or something. I don't know. And I'm like, what the? Who asked you to change a name? I just need it fixed. So it's like, yeah, it does some weird stuff, and it does that to me in React. So I have my front end React UI is it's okay. This is one of the things I'm gonna tell you right. One of the things I'm most impressed with AI is it does a really good job with React UI stuff. I mean, interface, visual. If you can explain what you want, it's actually really good at implementing Tailwind and the various structures to set up and make it pretty much look like you want. And I'm like, that's one of the things I got to say I'm the most impressed with how well it can build the visual of a React page. And I can say stuff like, I need it to do this or that. And honestly, as I'm learning React and getting better and better at React, I still don't think I could do half the things that AI is doing. I was like, I didn't even know that procedure existed or that method existed or that function existed. And it's like, it puts all this stuff into place. I'm like, oh, wow, that's really cool. I didn't even know that was there. It's like one of the coolest features that I've got so far is I have a play editor that I can create plays, but I don't want to have to build the plays back up in every interface that's using it. So I asked AI, I go, is there a way that you could take a picture of a piece of the screen and save that as an image, link it to the saved file, and then whenever I want to load up the play, I just load up the image, because that's all we need, right? I just need that and the linked data that's in the database. And apparently he said, yeah, there's this tool. And I'm like, really? I wonder how that works. And I decided to give it a shot. It's the coolest thing, man. It's like I build a play, I hit save, it creates an image of the play for me, saves it, links it to the file, and now in my Unity app, and in my React app too, and I broke it the other day, but in the Unity app, now when I load up a play card, it loads up with the information and the image pops up on the play card. So yeah, there's some cool functionality, but yeah, that's anyway, I'm just giving you a long-winded excuse as to why I haven't implemented testing on this. It's just a lot of layers of testing that need to be implemented, and all I wanted to do is test the math logic of my skill checks to make sure I'm putting in the right information. So I had to pass in that information. And I find it's not... So I like to use the Go PlayGround for stuff like that, but as you can see, I have to convert all of my variables into actual data points, which I'm pulling from my spreadsheet. And so when I put in all my spreadsheet information, did this even work? I still got one. What's missing? 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. Why didn't that work? It says RB 0, 0, 0, 0, 0.0. Why doesn't it like it? It says it's on 9. That's 9. Am I missing one? Not enough. Oh, I am missing one. Did I take out too many of these? Probably. Guess I'm missing one. Oh, yeah, maybe I did. 0, 0, 0, comma. Ah, there we go. Got them all. All right, so this is my big play result. Not too bad. Numbers look pretty good. How do they match? Yeah, Welker's lower than everybody else, according to my math, according to my previous logic. It's not quite as varied, but he is quite a bit lower, 1-3. And then these guys are 7, 49, and they're 21 and 36. Got a couple that are pretty similar. Andre and Steve should be pretty close. They're pretty close, 36, 27. I have Larry on there. Larry's got a 52, but he's at 36. So he's up there with Andre. But Chris, who actually has the highest on here, is actually way lower on there. So I may have a different weighting. What is VO? What is VO? You did a Golang programming tutorial and it tried to rewrite it in React? Oh, did you try to put a link in? Yeah, I thought I checked. Oh, because you said .dev. vo.dev, really? I'm surprised that thought that was a link. It's really not very smart, is it? Oh, you didn't get blocked, did you? Because it said only one person. Stupid Nightbot. That's not even a link, Nightbot. What's your problem? You might tell me you didn't get blocked. If I don't see you, I'm gonna go see if I can fix this. Nightbot, you're a dummy. Let me see here. Let me go see if I can fix this. I'm gonna try to unblock this. All right, let's see if I can unblock this thing here. Tab moderation. Let's see here. Backlist excessive emotes, caps, repetition, symbols, links. Let's disable this one. I don't want to disable it. It's probably a bit much. Let's say settings. Exempt user level. Timeout message. Enter a custom timeout message. Oh, I can't set the number of links. Ah, God. Dang it. All right, let's just disable it for now. There's got to be a way. How do I? All right, let's do that for now. Let me see if I can. Is there a way to time out something? Timers? No. Integrations, Discord, support forum, song request. giveaways, commands, chat moderation. Okay, so Nightbot's not the most. Let's see, is there one that I can like? Oh, let's see if let's see how AI helps. Is there in Nightbot? Is there a way to lift a timeout imposed on a chat participant? Bummer. Sorry, dude. I guess you're bad. You're blocked for a couple of minutes. I did remove the link thing because I know vo.dev is not. I mean, it is a link, but it's not a link. I don't know. Let me take a look at it anyway. Let me go see what this vo.dev is. I've never heard of it. I mean, really, just in general, I find just regular chatbot or Claude 3.7 is really good. vo.dev. Oh, what is it? Who is this? Small, medium, large. I've never even heard of vo.dev. Oh, by Vercel. Super base, start templates. Oh, they make Next.js. So they have their own. So my React is a Next.js React application, I think. I mean, it uses the basic structures of a Next.js React application, but I use my Go services on the back end. What does it have its own? Does it use its own LLM, or is it using like Claude or ChatGPT? Get started instantly with the framework configuration of your choice. Really? Huh. Well, I'm not actually doing my React stuff right now. Does my React application actually work right now? It should. I don't see why why it wouldn't. I just got to make sure everything builds because I don't. What's not building right now? Like my playbook. Well, that's test. I don't care about that right now. See, thing is, I keep adding functionality. I'm so early in this still. I'm still, I'm only 7, 8 months in. I've been working on this, well, 7 months. I think by the end of June, it'll be 8 months. But I've been working on this for 7 months. I built 11 backend services, my React front end, my Unity front end. Now, they're not done, but I've got them going and functioning and doing stuff. And got my gateway built here, and I got the interactions all going. I've got them all pulling data in from the back end. So everything's kind of working in part. And, but 7 months. So not everything is doing everything it's supposed to do. And there's a lot of buggy stuff. I'm a little ways out. But according to what tool, I was using some tool that counts your lines. What did it say? I've written like, I don't know, almost 80,000 lines of code, or at least that was the last time I checked a month ago. Or I've worked with AI and I've created about 80,000 lines of code. I mean, that's non-system files because I filtered all that stuff out. With system files, it's like, I don't know, 500,000 lines of code. There's so many system files. The more you build, the more system files get built, especially with Unity. For every one thing you create in Unity, it's like you create 50 things, 50 files that need to be generated or created with Unity. It's like, what is all this crap? I didn't build that. How did that get there? It's like every one asset has like 5 files to it. It's crazy. Let's see, Control Shift E, task. Hey, where's my, geez, is it really that long since I've done that? It's only supposed to be like, wow, Holy moly, really? Has it been that long? Huh, weird. So, not that one. Where's my... Okay, where's my build? That's unnerving. Where the heck? All right, I don't know what's going on. Huh. All right. Let's say tasks. You start. Oh, where are my... Not running right now, no? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, never mind. I'm in the wrong window. Ah, there it is. Start all services. Ah, but I have to wait for everything to load. All right. So I'm starting up all my services that I built. And what this is going to do, hopefully, assuming it's all going to work, it should be kicking off a bunch of all of my microservices should be starting up here. The AMG auth one tends to be the slowest. I gotta let my dog out. Just a minute. Why does that take so long to run? Holy moly, man! Is it running? It says executing tasks, but oh, there's game plan. Oh, okay, that did start. Never mind. I don't know why it's sometimes really slow, sometimes it's really fast. Sometimes these things will start up like that. Other times it's like it won't start. AMG auth tends to be the slowest one, and then these other guys kind of come up a little quicker. And I don't know why. I haven't figured out why my playbook is the only one that ever. I have a feeling players is not going to load. Players got too many bugs in it, but I don't think I need players. It shouldn't stop me from running my other stuff. Most of the stuff in players is not being called by anything yet, so should not be a problem. It's gonna have all kinds of. The gateway should start. Okay. All right, and gateway is the last one, so I can go over to my. Now I tend to use Visual Studio for my React because VS Code is the worst. VS Code is not a good debugging tool for React. I cannot for the life of me get VS Code to allow me to step through my code. It took me, I spent one day, I spent actually multiple days working on getting VS Code to debug, and I'd get it up for a second and then it would start giving me errors and I could not step through and debug my code. I said, you know what, I'm gonna try Visual Studio. It took me 10 minutes, bam, I was up, I was stepping through my code, it loads, I can go through and debug it so much easier. I said, screw it, I'm just using Visual Studio for React apps. because it's just so much easier. Now, granted, this little thing over here, not so great. It doesn't, the Copilot stuff. It insists on playing GPT 4.0, which of course we know by now is old. And if I wanted to do, like right now, if I set this to 3.7, and then I go out workspace, because that's what I'm working with, it sets it back to GPT. Well, at least it's setting it to 4.1 now, but it's like it wants you to use that. Now I can go and change it and still force it to do it again. But anytime in the future that if I type out workspace or if I do any number of other things, it'll set it back to GPT. I won't even know. I'll switch. I'm like, why did you switch? All right, so I have to, let's go to git bash. npm run dev. Actually, honestly, I haven't worked in my React app in a while because I've been on my Unity side lately. So, I mean, it shouldn't be in any way broken, I don't think. I don't think I've done anything that would affect it. But I could be wrong. If you've changed the services on the back end to make them work with your front end, and then that front end is you didn't update both sides of the front end, could break it. Okay, so here's my app as is. Oh, I have to create my account again. I do that. Okay, so I have my game plan here and my playbook. See, my images aren't loading over here. I have to fix that. I just haven't messed with it in a while. It is getting them, but for some reason the images aren't loading up. So, and this is my play editor, which allows me to go through and start setting things. But it's pretty cool. Like AI obviously helped me quite a bit when getting this set up. You know, it wasn't a first try thing, but it really did set it up nicely, and I was able to go through and step through my code and watch kind of where things are happening, and then I could edit it to be what I wanted it to be. So it actually worked out pretty well. Oops. So anyway, that's kind of a play you create it, and then normally if my play is loading correctly, it would load up as a value within that. If I if I go back here, this should load up in here. Tackle dive is right there, and then I can pick it up and it'll load it into my play editor. So that's my my play editor side. I actually have a little bit more of the UI navigation complete on the Unity side. Not a ton more. This one actually does a few more. Like I was actually working. What is all this stuff loading up over there? Jeez. So I had started setting up my streamer mode functionality, but I've since broke that because I started working on other things. But this is all stuff that had helped me put together. So this is pulling data from my back end to set up a streamer game. Now, streamer game is a game where I can load it up, and then my chat group or whoever participants can actually send commands into the game, and it'll run the plays that are, they can sub in players, they can do a number of other a number of other things. I have all the all of the definitions and how that's going to work set up. Of course, not complete either. It's everything. I've got stubs of this and stubs of that functioning slowly but surely. We'll just keep knocking things out until it's complete. I'm waiting for my Taco Bell. It's I'm on their Taco Bell. What do they call it? Rewards thing, and every Tuesday they do a drop where it's like some expensive item is on sale for some amount that's not expensive, like $1. But now they're starting to do it where you have to buy $5 worth of stuff. So I don't know half the time if I'm going to do it. Has to be something good, I guess. Jeez. Why is it taking so long to load? There it goes. Oh, there you go. I got whatever it was. What is it I got anyway? I don't even know what it is. What was this? Redeem your reward. Oh, it's a variety thing. I can pick any number of items. Oh, it's a crispy chicken taco, chicken crispy taco. All right. Anyway, I don't I don't have to get it now. I just claim it and then I buy it later. Anyway, so that's my my React stuff, and it'd be nice when I have all the same stuff going on React and Unity. But the thing is, the Play Editor is not going to be in the Unity app, in the Android app, because it's not really well suited towards the small screen of a phone. Setting that up with fingertips because it's a small area to be playing with and trying to be precise on how you're putting stuff in. Not really ideal. It might be okay on a tablet, I guess, maybe a bigger screen where you can use a pen. But since I'm not really, so really that interface will, if I do a play editor available to the general player base, it will be on the website or on a PC version when I roll it out later. The only two I'm planning to roll out early on are the web page and the web app and the phone app. Those are the first things I'm working on. The phone app is just going to be Android at first, and then I'll eventually go over and start generating one for what do you call it? iPhone, kind of recompile it for iPhone and see if that works. But then I have to get simulators or emulators. I don't know. We'll see. All that stuff's going to happen, but that's later. That's like down the road, like way down the road. But yeah, I'll have to see. I have to decide what the next UI element is that I need to fix, and I will definitely try out that VODEP. Now, the only drawback to that, of course, is since I don't use Visual Studio Code, is that something I do use, by the way, I do use VS Code for some of the React code creation, but when it's time to actually run it and debug it, I do that in Visual Studio because, like I said, I could use the object models, what do you call it, the language models that I prefer. But there's so many tools, man, and I don't know which ones. I mean, I typically just use Copilot because I paid for Copilot. They're a VO dev. Oh, here we go. Only got 9,000. It's only got 9,000 downloads, man. Oh, it's only 2 stars too. When was this created? Over a year ago, it was published. It was last updated over a year ago. I don't know how it could be released in 328.26. We're not even there yet, so I don't know what that means. But doesn't look like their extension is very functional. Light, dark, high, complete. I don't know. I'll have to look. I'll have to look into it when I start doing some more React stuff. When I switch back over. Alrighty. Well, let's see here. Where was I? Complaining about my hating debugging. All right. So I think let's see where we are with this. Calculate big play potential. I think I'm going to take that off. I'm going to call it something else. I just decided. It's too much. They're all skills, don't care. Not really technically a skill anyway. What's the problem here? Redeclared. Oh. Oh. Well, yeah. Why do I have it twice? That's not even current. I don't even know what that is. That must have been an AI generated variant of what I was doing. What's going on? B, not done. Big play potential is right there. Oh, is it because it's in here? It's oh, this is old as this is old as the hills, man. I don't know what that is. Touches is not a thing either. Security. How did I end up with duplicates? I mean, I did move stuff, but I thought I moved it after I did all the changes. Hmm. That is weird. Which one is my current one? I don't see how they could be all that different, but well, that one's doing float, which is already no. This is pretty much the same, except that one's using old values. I don't know why that one's. I think this one's all outdated. I don't understand how I even got this one or how I ended up with it. But whatever. General skills, probably in this one. Still doing float and fully toast too. This whole thing is like weird. Almost like it just like this whole file is like I don't even think I need any of this file. I think this whole thing is good. I think this is just supposed to be gone. Delete that. There you go. I think my life will be a lot quieter now. I don't even look at that one. Doesn't even have anything in it. I don't know what that is. Let's give it a. Not sure how those even came to exist, but they are gone now. These are control modifiers. All right, let's see if I can get this guy compiled. What time is it? 2:11. It's 1:33. Let's try to finish up at least one more stat. I got the big play potential kind of functioning. I think I need to root it in something though. But in other words, I need to scale it. So let's go see if I have this. So I have them at decimal points. They need to be solids. Actually, solids, whole numbers. So we're gonna root them. Let's see what I want to scale these on. Let's go see here. Let's try doing try scaling it on. Oh shoot! I got to bring it. Oh no! I got to do that. No, actually, this one translates pretty good. Now that I think about it, that's good because that would have sucked. I have a function that allows me to scale my values. Scale to range. One of these is scale to range. Scale value to range. Okay, there we go. This is the one that takes basically anything I pass through to it and scales it for me. Created this function to just allow me to, like, say if I want everybody's calculated values to have a 1 to 99 value or a 1 to 10 value. That would be the best guys would be close to 10, the worst guys close to 1. And sometimes I don't even want that. Like I might range them. I want them to be all 5 to 10 because everything below 5 shouldn't exist. But typically it doesn't work out that way anyway, because the thought is that depending on what your minimum range is, but sometimes, yeah, you have guys that just don't have it. Now I'm going to try and use my scale function here. So we're just going to throw it on here. We'll call scale. Min value, we'll say, is probably pretty. This one can actually be a 0, I think. And, max value, I don't know who's got. I'm sure somebody's going to have a pretty high number. We'll say 0.5. There's a point. Yeah, 0.5. We'll say 0.5. And we'll say scale max value. We'll say 10. And oops, scale minimum. Say 1, 10, comma false. Let's see what that does. All right, so these are my scale valued guys. So the biggest big play maker here, according to this math, is either Andre Johnson at 7.6 or Larry Fitzgerald at 7.49 for this season of data, which is 2009, by the way. Welker, he was a reliable, very good receiver, but he just didn't get that many big plays. He must have been one of those what do you call it? Hands guys. You just throw it to him because you know he's going to catch it, because he had a lot of receptions that year, but he wasn't a deep threat. Guys like Chris Johnson was just a great running back, so he was pretty high up, but still not totally high considering he had 49 plays of 10 plus yards. That's pretty good. Now, there may be some math variations. What I usually will try to do is once I get actual stats running, like I'm pulling them out of the database and I'm able to run them, I'll set up some print statements and logs that say, run these tests. And I might have to do something like run tests with logs, have some set. Maybe I'll set up some tests where I can have all the offensive skills generate logs, all the tests. But I do got to go through, like we mentioned before, and get all of my automated testing going. But I got to do this. I want to get all the skills functioning right now, doing something. And if I don't like the results or what's happening with them, really what I was doing is, like I said, a lot of these were built for a board game, which means that everything was built around a die. So if I had particular values or results, they would roll certain dice. So I could still do that in the game. I could just say, on a scale of 1 to 8 or blah, 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 blah. And then you roll, you have a random value, 1 to 8. How does this guy fall? But the thing is, we could be more precise with that. I could actually have his big play potential be a 1 to 99. And that actually has the decimals take part in these results, right? Because a 1 to 8 is a 1 to 8. So everybody's rounded. So everybody who's a 4.8 is a 5. Everybody who's a 7.6 is an 8. You have a lot more people. Well, if you range that all the way up to 100, now you have to be a 76 to be in the same class as somebody else. So there's actually a variation in numbers. So big play potential could actually be something based on 99, which I may very well do, just because I want. And then how it's displayed for or the user really doesn't, you know, it could be a skill bar. So this is what it would be if I was basing it on 99. So Welker, not a big play guy, but you know, he could still have been really good. Really, he's just not likely to bust one for a big score or whatever. And that's kind of what these are. These are just like little perks. The big play result is something that players have as a potential to help them make that last key action that could make for a big play. And technically, it's not even the last key action. It could just be an important action, like a pass that would be 25 or more yards, a better chance at catching it because he's going to have this big play potential. It's at any pass that's at this range might have a little bit of a boost because of his big play potential. You have things like a first down, but maybe it's not just any first down, like a first down at 1st and 10 or 1st and 20, or 1st and 10 or 2nd and whatever. But maybe if it's a 4th down attempt, that's a big play. 3rd down attempt, you know, that's 3rd and long. These kind of things are big plays. So there will be a lot of conditions that say, okay, well, when do we trigger the big play bonus? And it'll happen at certain key points in a game. But it has to be something more than just being behind, right? Because it could be big to you to get the first, but it's not a big play unless it's a touchdown option, a interception option, maybe a field goal when there's only so much time on the clock. These are all things that can have big play potential. And those are when those kind of features kick in, which, by the way, I haven't got, and my kickers don't have. I don't know that I calculated a big play potential for my kickers. So is a 60-yard field goal always a big play? It's still only 3 points. And if you kick it at halftime, it wasn't high risk. You may not matter whether you win or lose with it. It may not be considered a big play because it doesn't necessarily carry weight. I mean, it does, but you know, it's, I don't know. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. I haven't decided where the big play big play bonus will kick in for kickers. I don't even have it defined for kickers right now. So at this point, it's a non-issue because it doesn't exist. But I will probably eventually do something. I've got it for every other player, though. Well, no, not true. I don't have it for offensive linemen. Or for that matter, I don't have it for defensive. No, I guess defensive guys have it because they have it built up on their sack, interception, that kind of thing. Passes defense for other guys. Okay, so this is, I'm going to keep this one too. I've been kind of keeping my PlayGround stuff because you can't, this stuff doesn't save very well. I keep making sure I have to add all these things in here. I'm oftentimes you'll see me doing this. What I am doing is taking notes. So making sure that I have all my values in play here. Yeah. OneNote can be a little tricky sometimes. You're trying to do certain kind of formatting. It doesn't always seem to want to copy the way you hope it will. So when I'm talking about functions and stuff and features, some stuff is implemented, some stuff is considered, but I oftentimes have to make sure that I don't lose it, or that I match my explanation with my final output, or at least make it as practical as possible to do so. And some things are just some things are in progress, some things are not, some things are just. So I have this huge sheet of game features. It's just some things I've done and completed and checked off. Some things are just in the development phase, which is about 90% of everything, or 90% of the things that are at all started are in the development phase. Very few things are in the, I've completed this, it's ready to go, it's going to go to production this way. I don't have very many things that look like that. But I have more and more and more stuff I can mark off into the in-dev, which is something, right? All right, so I can get rid of this for now. Mark off my. So we still have to go. What other offense? So we got the ball security calculated. Yak, yakety yak. Don't talk back. Kick return, punt return, yards per rush. A lot of skills here. Let's go see what the break tackle skill looks like. We will try setting up that one. We got BT. Okay. Okay, so we've got going to scale it on 10. If wide receiver running back, scale 1 equals 4th quarter. Oh, huh. I actually have, okay, so I have in my system a setup abilities, or what I call them skill flashes. Skill flashes are things that a particular player will periodically implement based on some odds, some mathematical formula. Doesn't happen every single time. It's not like say for example, a person's got a tackle skill of X, but he may have a bruiser ability or some other skill flash ability that actually makes X be X plus Y. But it's not plus Y every time, because then he wouldn't why have it. It would just be X, right? But there are scenarios where he might get, like, if he's maybe in a particular position on the field when he makes impact, or maybe it's just a randomly, or maybe anytime he dives to make a tackle, or maybe it's whenever, just certain types of conditions will affect, that'll trigger these skill flashes, and it allows them to have a slightly pumped or better ability. And I have considered these skill flashes won't be like certain players, like maybe an elite player or a really good player, may come with their own skill flash, but also there will be cards, or what I call them game plan cards that you can stick in that actually can affect a play with these skill flashes. So you might actually, whoever's out there might get a chance at the skill flash. So you just try to use them. You can use them all the time. They might automatically get pulled. The idea is that there's some kind of logic in the game that'll allow these kind of things to work. And that also goes to the collection capabilities of the game, where you're trying to build up. Now, I noticed that I was confused. I was watching a Madden video today, just trying to see kind of what they do in their games. And one of the guys was talking about all these cards and abilities. And I'm like, you can assign abilities to people in Madden? I didn't know you could assign abilities to people in Madden. But I don't know if that's part of their Madden add-on, because you buy cards and buy stuff, because it's their pay aspect of the game. And honestly, my game is going to be not pay to play, free to play. But I haven't gotten anywhere near trying to work out the financial part of it. Thing is, people don't want to pay a flat fee for a mobile game. And it's like, well, that's a problem. I mean, because I'm thinking I want to do a flat fee. Just charge this much and you get XYZ. Maybe you buy it, you get the mobile, you get the PC, you get the internet version. You just pay for it, you get all three. Maybe that's what I'll do. Just doesn't matter. You get all of the functionality that comes with it. But then the collectability aspect of the game kind of goes away, right? Because you get it all for free. Now, of course, that doesn't have to be the case, right? Because there's plenty of games out there like Diablo and there's another team. I just think Diablo comes to mind right away. But where they have microtransaction stuff even after you've paid for the game. But I don't know, what would that be? I mean, what would that look like for a game that, for me, it is imperative that it'll be more like Marvel Snap, in that you will never be stopped from playing the game. You want to play? Play. That's all there is to it. It's like, I'm not going to stop you from playing the game. I don't care what. What I might do is have things that allow you to play more. Not like you're ever going to get stopped, but like maybe you want to have two teams, and maybe you want to build your collection faster so you get a second team, and then maybe certain things you might do to try to get more players. Maybe the play editor. Some very few things would be add-on that come with microtransactions. But I'm worried about the play editor being available to everybody, because then I have to test and function and verify every play that gets submitted, which could be problematic. I don't know if I trust plays that are created to be good. It's not that they have to be functional. I mean, like, I guess you create a bad play, but the problem is that means everybody's got their own set of plays that are literally this nebulous thing that people are pulling out weird plays, and then you don't know what we're up against, and people name plays weird, and I have to have naming conventions and setups that the system can function with, because it needs to kind of know, for me to keep track of certain types of stats. How does this work against a run defense or a pass defense or blah, 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 blah. And although I use certain types of settings of what players do in a play, it doesn't always translate without some kind of identification in the play. And if people are creating their own plays, it can get kind of hairy there. And I don't know how good my stat tracking will be very good. It might screw up my stat tracking if they don't name them right. Or they can give them names that then I have to start dealing with people trying to do dumb names, where they're trying to put cuss words and insults and other kinds of crap into their play names, and that's not gonna fly. I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to have all these complicated name checkers, and that's a whole nother ball of wax. I don't want to deal with. So yeah, then I'd have to build a naming system where it's like, okay, well, if you do this, 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 that's what this play is going to be called. Then I have to, it has to be complicated, and it has to be complicated. And if got thousands of people creating, you got 10,000 people create. Let's assume I get lucky and have 10,000 people ever to touch this game, and they all want to do play editing, and they all create plays, and they all create 10 plays. That's 100,000 plays that are created by people. I don't want to have duplicate plays everywhere. And then what if it ends up being the same play? I don't want to have hundreds of thousands of plays in the system. That's too many plays. It's like even if they all functions pretty much the same. So yeah, there's that. I don't know if that's I don't know if I want to have a play creator, because because remember, this game is not a solo game. You're not just creating a play for you. When you create a play and you go play with someone else, your play runs against someone else, and they're going to have this play that they're looking at going, I don't know what that, I mean, what the heck is that? You do this weird little thing, and yeah, I could see allowing it, but it's just going to be really, going to create some bizarre stuff, and I don't want to have 100,000 squiggly line crazy nonsenses all over the game that most of the time won't work, because the defense will just go. Hopefully, if my defenses are any good, my play strategies. Okay, so what time is it? It's 2:35, and I have completed the big plays. Let's go look at break tackle. I'm going to see here. It's 2 hours. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go to break tackle. I am working on this. So the break tackle calculations. Let's pull this out from our reference, and we'll go here and we'll say note. This puppy out onto my screen here. Pin it at the top. That's the formula I want to convert, which means I have to go to yak per reception plus adjusted yards per run. Oh yeah, basing a lot. This is one that was kind of weird too. Yeah, per reception. Which is yak BLS, yak 1 to 10. Oh boy. Okay, so what these are? Oh, yep. So that's kind of interesting. Okay, so they do have a yak based on the distance they were at. That's interesting. Might be something to consider in the big play calculator. I didn't realize I had this. We got yak BLS. See how all these yards that people get from BLS? Who is this? Ray Rice? He had yards after catch of 509. He must have been just constantly getting passed to, and he's obviously a running back. I mean, nobody else would get that many catches. That's a lot of yards, though. Yeah, 4.6 yard average. That's actually not that high. Oh no, that's how many times he was targeted. He's only getting 0.125 target credit. Okay, so it has a 10. Wow. That is a 10-yard yak per reception. That's really high. That almost feels broken. It's like, really? How's he got that much? Oh well. All right, let's go in here and let's not worry about that. Let's just say uh, player. I don't even know, why am I using player? Return, player stats, get total. We'll just do this. Do the same value. Mostly because I don't want to, like, I want to have a consistent formula. I already call it naming conventions for my variables. Hey, Karama, how you doing, man? How's things going for you in the world of educated coding, education coding? Are you an expert yet? You said you're feeling pretty good. You're getting better. Total touches. All right, so in the total touches is going to be the value I divide against. But we got to add up all my yak. Yak, yak, yak. Don't talk back. Yakety yak. Don't talk back. Let's go get these. All right, so we're going to say yak. I feel like I have. No, I didn't have yak. I have receptions. I don't have yak. And I don't know if I want to do total touches. That's actually wrong. I want to get total receptions. Because that would not be right. That would have to be dot get total touches. Get reception. Dude, you and your acronym, you and your little weird letters. I don't know. I have no idea what nonsense you're piddling out onto my screen, man. T dot T less than greater than less than CF XD N dot N A dot A L dot L M dot O P dot Q dot R dot S dot T U V X Y Z. You're just throwing letters on the screen, man. I don't know what the heck those are. I know they're supposed to be emojis, but they're not emojis in the Twitch realm. At least not in my on any of my apps. Just decompressing the old back here. You say that, I take your word for it, man. I don't know in world, what part of the world they're showing up, because on here they ain't showing up on the Twitch app. They don't show up on my phone. They don't show up on my PC. They don't show up anywhere. I don't know what those are. Unless they show up, maybe they're just getting filtered. All right, I'm gonna go straight to Twitch and I'm gonna type n.n and see what that does. n.n. Nope, it doesn't do anything. All I'm doing is typing weird words into the screen. So it's not my restream that's screwing it up. It's not restream screwing it up. It's not my typing that's screwing it up. It just doesn't show up. On Twitch, it just says letters. This is the same game, man. I'm going to be working on this game from now until forever. So I'm only 7 months in. Games take a long time to make, but I'm still working on it. This is just the I'm working on some of the back end skills that these players are going to be using when they're running their plays. And I have to convert them from my Excel spreadsheet that I built the formulas under. And it's just kind of a thing. Takes some time, that's for sure. Trying to get myself to that point where I'm putting in longer days because I have to. I'm never going to get this done. I need to start doing 10-hour days at least. A lot of people say they're doing 12 and 16-hour days developing. That's a recipe for burnout. If anybody's actually doing that, I think some people kind of, when you work from home, I'm sorry, it's hard for me to visualize people putting 12 hours in every day. I can see doing 12 hours. I mean, like I've gotten going and spent 12 hours, um, in a day on something, 16 hours, 18 hours even. But it's not 18 hours straight for one thing. It's like 18 hours, but that's from the time I start till the time I end with varying amounts of stuff in the middle, hopefully mostly coding. And certainly not 3, 4, 5 days in a row. And anybody is saying that, oh, I do 12 hours a day for 6 months. It's like, liar. It's like, you'd be so sick of work. I mean, I know people say they do 60-hour work weeks. They aren't doing 60-hour work weeks. I'm sorry. What they're doing is 60 hours in the office, which doesn't mean 60-hour work weeks. They're not working for 60 hours. They are in the office for 60 hours. Most people get distracted during their day. Yeah, yes, they're available, which can still burn you out for 60 hours in a week. But a 60-hour work week, 12 hours a day for 5 days a week. And that, yes, I know some people have some long days um, and sometimes you have to, like if you're doing a physical job, maybe you have to do it because you're poor, and if you don't do it, you don't get paid, you don't make money for your family. But people who work at home, software development, even when I'm having my greatest focus, there's days when I don't stream. A lot of times that's me coding at home and just saying, trying to get things done, and that does happen. And so I'll come back and I'm totally on something different from what I was on before. But it's really, I think, rare that people are working when they say 12-hour days, 16-hour days, and they did it for 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 months, a year, 2 years. I have a hard time believing that. I remember when I used to work. I remember when I used to work a lot when I was younger. And I really think back to it. I don't think I ever actually worked those. I like I said, I have an 18-hour day because I just work constantly and I go home, sleep for 6 hours, go back to work. And then I have another long day, 16, 17 hours. But it wasn't, yeah, there'd be times when I'd be focused hardcore and getting lots of hours. And maybe during those days, I might get a solid 14 hours of work in. But I certainly didn't do it for a week. In fact, usually by the 3 or 4 days, I'm calling in on the last day. It's like, yeah, I need a break. I need to go clear my head for a while. So I don't know. Like I said, just could be me. Maybe I just was never a sicko worker. I could be wrong. I don't know. I just think people give themselves too much credit. Winter vacation? What? Winter? You mean summer vacation? Oh, well, I guess I guess the other side of the world. Where are you from, Karama? So, Southern Hemisphere. So you're in the Southern Hemisphere somewhere. So, India? Not Australia. I don't picture you as Australia. Now, by winter, is it wintry or is it just that type? Oh, Chile. Okay, South America. Um, is it? So it's not really wintry though, is it? It's just it's still you get good weather all the time, don't do you? You don't like get snow and stuff, do you? Or I mean, significant amounts of it. I suppose you might get it occasionally. I don't know what the weather in Chile's like, but I've always thought of it as a more of a warmer climate there. Which, in fact, it does significant. I mean, like real snow. I mean, like winter is cold regularly and summer is hot regularly. I'm curious what the climate comparison is. All right, so the U.S. has a little bit of everything, right? So what area of the U.S. is the Chilean climate closest to? Chile has a diverse climate, but its central region, including Santiago, has a Mediterranean climate similar to parts of California, particularly the San Francisco Bay Area and Los Angeles. Hot, dry summers and mild, wet winters. Further south, Patagonia has a cool oceanic climate, resembling areas in the Pacific Northwest. Ah, that's me, Pacific Northwest. I'm in the Seattle area. All year round. So, what part of Chile? Patagonia? So you're in one of the cooler areas. I'm in the Northwest. I'm kind of in the Pacific Northwest, U.S. That's the Washington area. So, what Seattle area. So, if most people don't, if you're not from the U.S., Seattle may not mean anything to you, but it's Washington, the upper left corner of the U.S. Not Alaska, which is up there, but or the upper left corner of mainland U.S. And we get mild climate. So, and it says here, your weather's a lot like ours. Now, it's obviously the opposite. So we don't get real hot weather. And we have hot weeks. Like we may have a week or two in July where we'll hit 90s a few times. But in general, we're pretty moderate. In the summer, like right now, well, according to my thing here, it's actually really warm outside. We're in the 80s, which I'm actually surprised at. 80s is actually pretty rare, but we've been hitting it a couple times. Real close. Technically, summer starts for us June 20th. That's our cycle, right? It's every 3 months starting in June, starting on the 20th every 3 months. So, um, so for us, we're technically in spring right now. But our summers are typically pretty moderate. We don't get real hot weather. And we get a lot of cloudy days. A lot of cloudy days. I mean, here we get probably close to the most cloudy days throughout the year of any state in the United States. We're probably very similar to Hong Kong in that respect. Um, Hong Kong gets a lot warmer and more humid than we do, and we get a lot of rainy days, but probably not the most in the U.S. I think we're considered top 5, top 10 maybe, but we just get a lot of clouds, very cool, temperate weathers. In the winter, we'll get a couple of days of snow. Some years we've had good amounts of snow, but generally our temperatures are our cold days are in the 30s. I mean, we don't necessarily go crazy cold very often. We have hit the 20s and teens very rarely, very, very, very rarely that we hit teens. This year, I don't think we dropped into the 20s at all. Um, but if we did, it was for very short periods. So September is like the end of summer for us. Okay, so September 20th is the end of our summer. Our summer is June, well, mostly July and August and the first part of September. That's kind of the most. But realistically, our summer weather is June, July, and August. That's our hottest period, June, July, and August. That could shift a little one way or the other. We've had a few days in May and a few days in September, but our hottest weather is June, July, and August. The calendar summer is late September, late June to late September. But we don't, like I said, our weather's pretty temperate here. It's not, I wouldn't say we get a year-round winter, but we certainly don't get year-round summer. uh, yeah, see, you're total opposite of ours. So while you're starting in December for winter or for summer, our summer starts in June. So we're 6 months apart, which makes sense. You're on the opposite side of the planet. So yeah, you're on opposite schedules of us. And it sounds, according to Copilot here, that you guys have kind of like our weather, but just in reverse. My wife isn't a huge fan of where we live. I'm not a terribly huge fan sometimes either, because we get a lot of clouds, and it can be kind of depressing, kind of cloudy, gloomy. But lately it's been nice. We've had good weather these last couple of weeks. So we'll take it. We've been getting into pickleball a lot. Okay, so I used to play a lot of tennis, and I love tennis. I would love to go play more tennis, but finding people to play with isn't as easy as it used to be. And so, wait, what the heck? Where is that getting that from? I've been to 20. I'm gonna need some more 21 plus. No, 21 to 30. 31 to 40. We don't need 51 plus. 41 plus is good. Mr. Robot. I think I have. That's the one with the skinny guy, isn't it? The real square jaw, skinny guy. Yeah, that's an older series, isn't it? I think I watched it, or I don't know if I watched the whole thing. It was kind of a weird show, if I remember. Yeah, that guy. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking of. So yeah, I think I did watch it. I don't know if I watched the whole. Oh yeah, it's like he was a kind of an outsider guy. Yeah. Really smart. Um, is this still going? Oh, so we must have stopped watching it. There must have been something. Oh no, that was 2019. No, that's not still going. What's his name? Something Rami Malek. Yeah. Jeez, I can't even remember how it ended. Maybe we didn't watch the whole thing. Maybe we watched part of it. It got. Maybe we didn't watch the whole thing. I don't know if I don't remember watching 4 seasons of it. I remember watching it for a while. I don't know if we got. If we. I know we watched at least 1 season of it. I don't remember if I watched the whole thing. Rami Malek is an interesting guy. He's I mean, just his acting ways. I mean, I don't know what he's like as a day-to-day real person. Oh, hold on a sec. I gotta step back here. I needed to decompress my back a little bit. I have a pull-up bar back here, and sometimes I'll just hang on it for a few seconds and just let my body stretch and just get the blood flowing. Do a couple quick pull-ups, maybe. I don't know. Just kind of get things moving. I get antsy sometimes. All right. So we have our yak. And yak divided by so this one uses, if they don't have any yak, why would I even have them on here? I think what I'll do, we'll go if total receptions so that's not implementing the skills just net yet. Total yak. Total. Oh, we're gonna get what is the adjusted? What is it adjusted? I don't know why that's adjusted. I have a function here. It says adjusted. Well, it's adjusted yak per reception, but it doesn't have any adjustments. It's just all the BLS divided by all the receiving receptions BLS. It might be adjusted because one of these is calculated. I wonder if this has a percentage. Oh, okay. So yeah, it's taking only a 0.125 of the targets for BLS. I don't give players as much credit for BLS. It's just a bunch of BLS. BLS is behind the line of scrimmage, by the way. Why am I only giving them a quarter of 11 to 20, though? Oh, that's targets. But why am I only giving them credit for a quarter? That's weird. 11 to 20 only gets a quarter. Give them 0.75 of 11 to 20. Point 0.75, 0.125 of 21 to 30. Why am I doing that? What was my brilliant plan in taking credit away from these guys? 0.5 for 21 to 30. These are all kind of adjusted, but I don't understand why I did that. Yeah, I only gave them 0.125. I did some weird shaving of their stuff here. I mean, I'm sure it was more about giving them a. It's probably more about the die rolls than it was about cutting their values. But I think ultimately you got to calculate everything on a full value and then you adjust the total. You got to give them a full stat value range and then you build stats. It's going to make it tough for me to compare against my spreadsheet here, but logically speaking, taking away all these random values was kind of weird. 0.5, 0.7. There must have been a reason why I was thinking that stuff, but ultimately, anytime you get the ball and you can get 10 plus yards out of it, that's pretty good. And I think your average, a player's yak is their yak. That's what it is. These guys can run. Even if it's BALS, in this case, I think for this functionality, I think part of it is too, I was using some of these values on other sources, but on the Go app, I'm actually just pulling them out individually and I can use them individually and then adjust them for that one formula. And that's probably better. But ultimately what it means is I don't need to do all those weird little adjustments. And since this is all about their break tackle, what is this? I have a speed calculator here too. I'm really curious how I did the speed scale value. Got 1 to 10 plus, 11 to 20 plus, 21 to 30 plus. It's targets. I think that might have been because I was trying to see how, okay, that makes sense. How often were they targeted at long distance? I gave them more credit for anything that was like further away. And I also WRB target 1 to 10. And since these are, where we get target. Yeah, see, those are part of the speed calculators. That's why the targets are all being reduced. Because I didn't want it was more about trying to give credit to the further distances. But it also kind of throws off other things that are using those targets. I need to fix the so when I calculate the speed, I may want to do stuff like that, which makes sense because you want to adjust a person's speed based on how often are they down the field, and give them more credit for the down the field catches and down to field targets. The more often that they're targeted downfield, it means so if a guy like doesn't have very good, but see, everybody has to have a speed value, but that's part one. I probably have other things that are calculating speed. Adjusted yak per reception. Oh, and then I have a reception per game mod. Oh, I have to use that in here too. That's the total yak times receptions per game mod. That's WR, not this one. Why am I doing that? Don't know. Interesting. Yak is only at 30 plus. Doesn't have a 40 plus. Huh. Oops. Um, it's, yards per rush. Oh, come on, why do you do that? Yak by exceptions. I wonder if there's a way. Some there. I wonder if there's a. Players don't break tackles very often. I'm telling you, break tackle skill is it's a special ability. It's like, but I'm curious if there is a tracking of this. That's you do actually have. Who the heck is James Conner? Between running back stats, running back signature stats. Tackle. NFL tries to tackle tackling with new next-gen statistics. Football Outsiders, new broken tackles. Oh, see, that one's a broken tackles metric, but that's not all tackles are created equal. Most broken tackles this season. Let's see here. Does this actually have tackles, broken tackles? Broken tackle. Check that out. Let's go see how far back this goes. Oh, it won't go back to 2009 though. Only goes to 2013. And did they track them all the way back then? I won't know, but oh, it does. Jamal Charles. Oh, see, they didn't keep track of broken tackles back then. So that's not a thing for forever. Well, they've been doing it for a few years, but yeah, I have to calculate my own broken tackles. So it'll be interesting to see when I actually have broken tackles as a valid stat, how my broken tackles calculator, because somebody like, all right, so Christian McCaffrey had 287 attempts in rushing and had 27 broken tackles. And look at that. They even have big rush plays. Oh, that's cool. Oh, what is that? Boost Flex viewers. Oh my gosh, what is that nonsense? Give it a Virus. Well, it's not a virus. It's spam. Yeah, somebody's spamming me, trying to get me to buy crap. Um, I can actually get rid of them on here too, I think. It's funny. The uh, the Twitch has a reporter that you could report things, and I feel like it's slave trade when you see those things, those like ads, because here's why. You go on there and you say it's spam, and you say it's spam. They says, "What do you want to say?" Well, I say people are selling users. So it's like, is that allowed? Is that legal? Are you allowed to sell people? But yeah, I sometimes report it, but sometimes I just don't because I don't care, I guess. It's just it's a pain, and I don't think they do anything half the time anyway, and it's all spam, so it's all coming from different thises and that's, so they can't really block it anyway. So what's the point? It's like, you're not gonna get anywhere with it anyhow. All right, let's get back to it. I still have to. So basically, the crux of it is I still have to calculate my own brake tackles. So brake tackle. What do I need? I need my yards, my yak per reception, which is this. We'll call this one total yak per reception. Just because everything else, I should be doing this in lowercase because why not? That's how things work. And then we have plus adjusted YPR. I don't know why we have to have adjusted YPR. What is adjusted yards per run? Let's see what that is. Let's see what's adjusted about it. Rush attempts modifier. Again, this is being scaled in advance. Probably not the best way to do that. Sometimes I scale things in advance because I want that value to be a multiplier of some kind, and if it's too big, it screws things up. No, um, it doesn't make a good multiplier, basically, because it could be way too big or way too. So if I try to turn it into a multiplier, that turns it into a 0 to 1 or a 1 to 2 type range, and I use that as a multiplier. Now it's only working with a decimal point adjustment to my object. So it's kind of nice to have it as an adjusted. But so I have an end rush attempts per game value, which is basically designed to scale everybody against the same basic number. So this is saying, all right, so we have the rush attempts divided by games played. So that's attempts per game. The current rush attempts divided by, and then I have it based on a max. Some people don't get very many. I'm trying to see how that. The total receptions. Rushes. It's not gonna work because that's a stupid leave. Couple rush attempts. Yak or not yak. Why? For push. Oops, no. Yards. Okay, wait a minute. Yards per rush. I've already calculated. Oh yeah. Oh, not end rushing. It's yards per rush. Right there. So why do I need? You know we're trying to balance them up against. I'm just trying to figure out if a yards per rush. Some guys will have 0, some guys will have more, but yards per rush attempt mod. That's this thing. He didn't have that many rush attempts. I guess the idea is, what the heck is in the I think the individual rush attempts per game. What is that? I mean, what is the number? Individual rush attempts. Individual rush yards per attempt. Individual rush attempts per game, 20. That's pretty high. Who was it that I just saw? Chris Johnson had like, what was it? 24 per game? That's this on this season that I'm playing with here. So that's a lot. But it does use the modifier. So let's go get the control. And I think it makes sense to use a modifier because it makes it so you don't get a skewed value of somebody who only ran a couple of times. Whether they were successful or not, that's kind of like it doesn't justify their break tackle value. You want to see how well people break tackles going on. So essentially the whole point of this is to try to determine, like, I wonder if using like, it's really all of my break tackle is built on a player's success at their average yards, their yak, their rush per attempt. And it's really what it comes down to. It's like these guys are breaking through and getting large amounts of yards. And so the thought is they're breaking more tackles. It's really kind of a difficult one to measure because there's no real state that they actually broke any tackles. For all you know, some of these guys are just flying through the hole and there's nothing there, you know. How often are they actually getting a tackle attempted on these plays? So it's more of a educated guess that this guy must break some amount of tackles. But if you look at, like, what was it? Like this thing. In 2019, I mean, they didn't break that many tackles. If you really look at it, tackle attempts, for what they're worth, this is saying that if Christian McCaffrey ran 287 times, he only broke 16 tackles. Okay, so that means he was tackled every other time. That's basically what that's saying, right? So broken tackles just mean at some point you have they scored or they were tackled every single play, right? They scored or they tackled. The question is, how many tackles did they avoid throughout? So if you really think about it in the NFL, it is actually quite rare to break a tackle. If somebody's on you, they are probably going to tackle you. Probably. You know, anytime somebody's taking a shot, they're hitting, they're diving at you, they're trying to smack you. These guys they're all pretty big, they're all pretty strong. Out of 287 attempts, either he was tackled or he scored, or he either tackled or scored. So if you figure he only broke 16 tackles and he only scored, oh, it doesn't show how many scores he has on here, but I doubt he had more than 20 or 30 scores. I'd be surprised if he had more than 30. That would put him at about 57. No, 30. So let's say he had 30 scores. That's 46 times he wasn't tackled. In tennis? Are you talking about what is that? The French Open? No. Yeah, is that the French Open? Alexa, who was in the French Open?
I no longer have access to two of your calendar accounts. To relink, go to the calendar settings in your Alexa app and log in again.
I didn't even know you could do
Calendar. I couldn't find that on your calendar.
that. Alexa, who was in the French Open?
In the 2025 French Open, Carlos Alcaraz beat Yannick Sinner 4-6, 6-7, 6-4, 7-6, 7-6, and Yannick Sinner beat Novak Djokovic 6-4, 7-5, 7-6. The semifinal match with Lorenzo Musetti and Carlos Alcaraz was abandoned in men's singles. Coco Gauff beat
All right.
Barry
Alexa, stop. 5 sets. Alcaraz won, and I don't even know. Man, I used to follow tennis to the point where I knew pretty much everybody. Now I don't remember. I don't know any of these people. I don't know who any of these guys are. Alcaraz, Sinner? Who are those guys? So Alcaraz in 5 sets. That's actually that must have been a close game. Or a close match. Huh, Denver signed Chargers running back DJ Dobbins. Or J.K. Dobbins. I don't know if he's any good. I don't know enough about him. But I guess I'll find out this season, right? Dude, Sinner won the first 2 sets. And then couldn't get another one. That's a close match. That's really close. Look at that. 3 of them went to 7-6. And the other 2 were 4-6. There was like no dominant. I mean, there wasn't really a dominant match there. I mean, it sucks to start off with 2 sets and then lose, but it went 7-3, 10-2. I mean, this is like a really, really close match. Crazy. Huh. Yeah. Rafael Nadal, he used to be like the king of the French Open, man. When they call him king of the clay, he used to win that thing all the time. Well, yeah, but Nadal was like unstoppable on clay for a long time. Didn't he win it like multiple years in a row? I think 3, 4 years in a row. He was seriously dominant. And those names I remember, Nadal and Djokovic. Djokovic, is he retired too? Nadal just recently retired in the last couple of years, I think. How many times did Nadal win the French Open? 14 times. Holy moly. Guy was amazing. He won 4 times in a row, 205 to 208. 5 times in a row in 2010 to 14. 3 more times, 2017 to 2020. No, it's 4 more times. It's funny how, I don't know if he was hurt. He took 2009 off, took 2015 and 16 off. That just dominated again. It's like, all right, I'll come and win them all. And then he won one in 2022 just to finish things off. He was pretty amazing. Yeah, he was. People didn't beat him on clay very often. So of his 22 majors, 14 of them were in the French. That means he only won 8 other major titles. Eight other ones split up amongst 3 of the other things. So if that, I don't know how many times he won the other. I think he won the U.S. Open maybe once. I don't think he won it very often. But and I don't know how well he did at Wimbledon either. But either way, it's less than 3 times each on an average. Dude, this racket that Nadal used sold for $157,000. Dude, I don't know. I don't pay close enough attention. Alexa, when will the next oh gosh, Alexa cancel. Alexa cancel. Alexa, where will the next Olympics be held?
I'm not quite sure how to help you with that.
Hey Kenneth, what's on your mind today?
Where are the next Olympics going to be held at?
The next Olympics will be the Summer Games in Paris, France in 2024. After that, the 2028 Summer Olympics will be held in Los Angeles, California.
There you go. Next ones are in Paris. Wait. Summer Games in Paris, France. 2024? Dude, you're talking in the past, man. 2028 is going to be here in the U.S. For Summer Games, anyway. What the heck? Why are you giving me 2024 dates there? You goofball co-pilot. What year do you think we're in, man? All right. Enough distractions. Let's go finish something. Let's finish this break tackle nonsense. Okay, so we got yards per rush. Go finish what I'm thinking here. So we do want to balance this off of the control modifier. So we're going to have to do yeah, per reception. Yeah, per reception. That I think not really what I want. Mod. We will call this one What is it? Receptions per game, rush attempts per game. Rush attempts. Oh, it kind of has to be that. Not the best because I don't like hard coding in my title here, but I don't have this one set up nicely like I do these other ones. Game. I'm gonna go back over here. Rush attempts per game. So we're scaling it on that value, max value, and then on my value of it. But I still think those rush attempts per game seems like an odd thing to use. Yards per rush. Oh, okay. I'm only giving them their. Oh, I get it. I'm only giving them the yards per rush per game equal to their scaled value. Oh, okay. So their yards per rush per game is blah, but they only get a scaled amount of it. I guess that kind of works. Yards per rush per game. And it's scaled based on a decent amount. Thing is, again, individual rush attempts. I still think 20 is. I guess we want to give them 100%. This is about break tackle skill. I'm not calculating their yards per rush. I'm calculating their break tackle, which is just a weird value to calculate. Yards yak per reception, which is okay, reception. Adjusted YPR, and their adjusted YPR their rush attempts YPR times rush attempt mod. Attempts divided by games played. So mod rush attempts per game, and then we're going to go, this one is rush attempts. Do I not have rush attempts? Oh, I do. Okay, so we got rush attempts. Let's go ahead and put that math down. Here, let's go. Adjusted rush attempts. I'm just going to call it adjusted rush attempts. Game equals total rush attempts. By, oh, did I not get games played? I did not get games played. By games played. We're gonna have to change this to rush attempts. It's not adjusted yet. We're gonna call it adjusted rush attempts. Or just rush attempts. It's going to be scaled. Adjusted rush attempts. The value. Rush attempts per game. Mod rush attempts per game. Scale to max. So we'll scale to range. Adjusted rush attempts per game. Scaled on 0 to 1, which is fine. Divided by 10. The min is supposed to be something divided by 10. And we take the min of that and 1. How did I end up with any that were over 1? Oh, I didn't. It's like, how did I end up with that? So the best you could do is 1. And I think that makes sense. And this is already going to only give you a max value of 1, because that's how the scale value works on my function here. Okay, so we have the adjusted rush attempts per game. I have that calculated. So adjusted yards per rush is going to be their yards per rush is this guy. That's the YPR. Adjusted yards per rush. I don't need to adjust that one though. We're going to go yards per rush times adjusted rush attempts per game. So it's some fraction of that. We're going to give them that. It seems weird though. That's not right. Yards per rush times adjusted rush attempt mod. Oh, I see. So rush attempt modifier. Rush attempt per game 1. What the heck? Right. So that pulls in my adjusted yards per rush, or my YPR. And still kind of a weird, what is my logic here still? So I got adjusted YPR, I have yak per reception. And yak per reception doesn't have a modifier on it? I'm not using adjusted yak? I use adjusted YPR, but I don't use adjusted yak. Weird. Why would I do it that way? Doesn't make any sense. Why would I do it that way? Well, this isn't even considering. Oh, I know why. Because this is already taking into account all of the deductions. I did a lot of random deductions on all these. I don't know why. 0.25, 0.125, 0.5 in some cases. And I'm not doing it in my code here. It's just these are straight up yaks. So what I need to do is come up with some kind of way to, like I said, I'm not sure I like the formula that I have there for my yak or for my brake tackle. But I have to give them some percentage of brakes. I'm going to kind of use modern averages to see what people are doing. And then I'll kind of give a similar brake percentage to get my totals. I'll be right back. So here is the problem with using modern brake tackle metrics. They don't have Barry Sanders in there. If you ever watch Barry Sanders play football, I tell you, go watch a highlight reel of Barry Sanders. If you wanted a basis, something to measure other running backs against for their brake tackle skills, it would be Barry Sanders. I mean, there's just like, it's just phenomenal. I mean, nobody ever in the NFL could make people miss like Barry Sanders did. And if they had logic for the number of guys that just fell on their face trying to tackle him, tracking it back then during his 8 years of play, they'd break the stats for everybody else. You'd have Barry Sanders and some guy in second place way down here, and then everybody else. You know how many break tackles they get in a year. It's just he wasn't close. The way he made people look on the field for 8 straight years, it was just phenomenal. And my thought is there's got to be some indicator that can help you figure out what. It's like if I was to plug in all of Barry Sanders stats that we do have, there's got to be some indicator of success at making people miss. Now, the problem with Barry Sanders is, though, a lot of his broken tackles occurred behind the line of scrimmage sometimes. So there's no forward progress. But he would turn a 0-yard gain into a 20-yard gain. So he'd gain 20 yards, but he may have ran 80 yards because he'll be doing making everybody miss. And all of a sudden, he's gone. He finds his hole and he's just down the field. And it turns in 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 yards. Touchdown. Who knows? But he would make guys miss so much they'd just be flipping and flopping all over the field like fish. And it's like, what would you look for in stats to determine that this guy was probably pretty good at making people miss? Because there are guys like Terrell Davis. I'll use him. He was a Broncos. Why not? He was a very good running back. Only played for a few years, unfortunately, because he had injury or he had issues, migraine headaches and whatever. But he only played for like 6 years or something. And I think he only had like 4 really good years. But he was elusive. I mean, he was a good running back, no doubt. But he was quick. He hit the hole quick and hard, and he would, adjust. But there was maybe a couple of tackles on any one big play. So if you take like guys who maybe it's things like, I want to say injury proneness. I mean, guys who have high BP, not big play, high injury fatigue levels, like they don't get hurt. That's a good indicator that they break a lot of tackles or they make people miss a lot, especially running backs. It's also a good indicator if they have a high average yards per gain, because you can't really get a high average yards per gain and not make people miss. Those are good indicators. Barry Sanders had a career average of over 5 yards a carry, which is, considering how many times he carried the ball, that's pretty amazing. I don't know what the record is. I think somebody might have higher but considering how many times he ran, I don't think anybody with that number of rushes has ever been close to Barry Sanders. Top 5 yards per carry. So you can't count some of those guys are quarterbacks. Let's just say, how about with more than 1,000 rushes? Okay, so Barry Sanders was 5. So he was third. Jim Brown had a 5.2. Jamal Charles had a 5.4, which is, which is pretty good. Gale Sayers was also pretty great at 5. I don't think Jamal Charles and Jim Brown had the number of carries that Barry Sanders did, which does kind of, Jamal Charles played for, I want to say he played for Kansas City. Jim Brown played for the Browns, I believe, or the Bears. No, he played for the Bears. Actually, I don't remember. Gale Sayers played for the Bears. I have no idea who Joe Perry played for. Barry Sanders played for Detroit, who was just not a good team most of the time. Michael Vick had a 7-yard per carry record, but he's a quarterback. These guys only ran like a handful of times. They only found the holes and ran really well when they did, but they only ran when there was a huge hole. I don't know what the star means. What's the star mean? Does that mean they're retired? I don't know what that means. I like it when they put symbols and then they don't tell you. Oh, it indicates Hall of Famer. Oh, okay. Gale Sayers. He must have had a higher average because they put him up higher. For whatever reason. More years. Certainly not more carries. Barry Sanders had more carries. Barry Sanders, 89 to 98. I know he played for 8 years. Gale Sayers played for a solid 6 years. That's kind of like Terrell Davis. Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb is still playing 6 years. But I am curious. These guys are averaging so high. How many times do they carry the ball? I'm curious. Like these years, look at that. He must not be getting that many times a time. His attempts must be really low. Because he's only got 1,500 yards is his best year. Mediocre in 23 and 24. So he's pretty much done. Must have been injured a lot those kind of years. But, I mean, 14, 15, that's nothing. I mean, Barry Sanders, in his 8 years playing, I think he broke 1,500 yards like every year. Maybe one time he didn't. I mean, and he also had over 2,000 yards once. I don't think he broke the record, but he was just blowing people away. Yes, I'm a huge fanboy, but there's nobody better than Barry Sanders was. Most people will tell you he was one of the greatest, if not the greatest running back of all time. Jim Brown himself will tell you that Jim Brown was the greatest of all time, but he'd probably pick Barry Sanders number 2. Jim Brown was pretty full of himself. So there's nobody greater than Jim Brown in Jim Brown's mind. So, but he was good. I mean, there's no doubt. Gale Sayers was considered maybe one of the best ever, but he just didn't have as long a career as some of these guys. I mean, look at Jim Brown. He's got 5.2 in his career. Oh, he did play for Cleveland. I was right. Huh. And he had decent years. Remember, he only had 14 game seasons, which is pretty, he had pretty good years considering he only had 14 game seasons. Like 1,800 yards in a season. I don't know what the record for single season rushing average is. How many years did he play? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Barry Sanders, I think, had more rushing yards than Jim Brown in 8 years. So whatever I don't understand how. I don't know what the records are. I get. I mean, I don't remember all this stuff, but rushing attempts, career. Let's see, rushing yards. Barry Sanders is number 4. Only 3 people had more rushing yards than Barry Sanders, and Barry Sanders had it in 8 years. Look at these guys. He played for 13 years. Emmitt Smith played for 14 years. Frank Gore played for 15 years. Barry Sanders played for 8 years. He played for almost half as many years as these guys. And look he was only 800 yards. He would have easily beaten Frank Gore the next season. Beating, he would have needed 1,500 yards again, which would have been pretty easy for him. If he would have been on his normal pace of 1,500 yards a season for one more year, he would have beat Walter Payton. Emmitt Smith wasn't he wasn't done playing at the time, and he also played for 1,000 years. So Adrian Peterson, he was making a run at it, but he played for 14 seasons. So he wasn't even in that class. None of these guys are in Barry Sanders' class. 8 seasons. I mean, look how many years he played for 8 seasons, but he was not even close. So he must have carried the ball more often, I would imagine. His yards per rush was 5, which was pretty good, but it was higher than Frank Gore, Walter Payton, and Emmitt Smith. None of them had that high an average. It's look how many years they had to play to get up there. So none of these guys had all that great. Jim Brown was probably one of the highest of all these guys behind Barry Sanders. Jim Brown was the only one that had yardage per carry that was close to him, and obviously he wasn't as productive. So yeah, it's they relied a lot on Barry Sanders in Detroit, so he had to play a lot. And considering he never really got hurt, he played out all his games. He didn't have crappy years. But that's because nobody could touch him, though. I mean, pretty hard to get injured when all you're doing is running for fun. It's like you're running around and people are just falling all over the place. It must have been, I mean, football must have just been so fun for him. I mean, right up until he just got sick of playing for a losing team and decided to quit. But when you're just running around and people are falling on their face trying to get you, I mean, that's just fun. That's just fun. It's like, you can't catch me. Spin around, do that. Just, okay, now I'm going to run. Boom. Down the sideline he goes. And there's nothing but bodies scattered behind him. It's like they should have called him Machine Gun Barry, because there'd just be nothing but bodies lying on the floor when he was done running. Now, granted, he didn't actually shoot them, but they look like them. It's just guys falling everywhere. It was great. If I could use Barry Sanders highlights in my game, I would do it. But honestly, I think Jim Brown averaged 5.1, 5.2, but like I said, I'd have to come up with a correlation. I think it has to do with your yards per carry. The higher your yards per carry, the better you are at breaking tackles, period. I mean, you're just breaking through, because really guys just don't get that far. They typically get hit at some point in their run, even if they come in fast and hot. You know, they usually find a hole. There's things that maybe tackles weren't attempted because guys just weren't able to get, close enough. And then they get hit and they go down. But ultimately, you're not averaging 4 to 5 yards a carry unless you're dropping. Some people are missing in general. And the question is just how many can you calculate into that? So what else would you be able to include in a yards per to justify a good yards per a good break tackling skill? I mean, other than maybe injuries or lack thereof, because if you're a downhill runner, those guys oftentimes, even if they're tough, they often have injuries that they're playing through, and it's just their careers are shorter. But again, what about in a single season? What if you just had an amazing season? You can't really justify a huge break tackle for a guy. It's like, okay, so if we go look at Christian McCaffrey here. Christian McCaffrey, 27 break tackles. Derrick Henry, 32 break tackles. Nick Chubb. So these are all really good running backs. And Nick Chubb obviously has a high career average of, around 5 yards a carry. Derrick Henry at 5.1. So these guys have huge carries and their break tackles show it. They're 30 to 32. But it's a pretty big drop off once you start getting down into that mid fours, right? So these guys are, 19. There is a kind of a correlation. I mean, Christian McCaffrey is in the high fours, 4.8, and he was third 27. So there is a pretty close correlation in their break tackles to their yards per attempt. I don't know what Yakon is. Is this some kind of rushing yards after contact? That's an interesting one to consider. I don't think that exists in rushing yards after contact per rushing attempt. So these are pretty good indicators here. Look at that. But again, that's stuff that they don't have in old seasons. It just doesn't exist. Heck, you can't even, I don't even know if there's, let's go to 2013. Let's see if they have any Yakon here. Was Yakon a thing in 2013? They didn't have break tackle in 2013. So these guys are averaging 5 yards per attempt. The Sean McCoy and Jamal Charles. But they only had a Yakon per attempt of 2 to 2.4. Without the break tackle, it's hard to say. But this would be misleading with Barry Sanders too. I think if you count all those guys diving at you, is that contact? It's like, I don't know. Do they count those as contact? It would be cool to see this going back. I would like to see this with the 2009 stats that I currently have, but create a free account to unlock. I don't think I think I'm already signed in, or I already have an account. Let's go see if pretty sure I have an account. But it's a free account, so it's probably not going to allow me to do anything. Oh, it did open. Does this go back farther though? Nope, still stops at 2013. There's a lot of guys with pretty decent. Look at that guy, Alfred Morris. Yakon per attempt is 2.7. Yards per attempt is 4.6. So it does seem to correlate, though, pretty strongly to your yards per attempt. Saquon Barley, look at that, 5.8 yards per attempt. That was pretty good, man. But it also has a correlation to it's like he must just be really fast, because he didn't have a lot of Yakon. He didn't have a lot of break tackles. It's like people just didn't get to him. He had a lot of open holes. Yeah, 43 broken tackles. Derrick Henry, yeah, he's a big guy. It's highly common with big dudes to be breaking tackles. I think it has a lot to do with your speed. Yards per attempt, look at that, 5.9. That's insane. That's a great year. So I'm just trying to see how the break tackles correlate. They typically, like this is 43. It doesn't really correlate that much to anything. But the Yacon could be, again, this is a value that does kind of exist in old. But I can't go back to 2009 for my logic. And I don't know if that exists. I'm just trying to see how I can build my stats. Because my stats do not have a Yacon. I can't even use Yacon. So I'm pretty sure I don't have a Yacon. Rushing yards. Yeah, I have yards per run. Yards per game, stuff, loss. I don't have that. So unless I can get me some Yacon. Hey, they have yards after contact on receiving yards too. Still impressed by a 2.8. I'm sorry, by a break tackle of 43 break tackles. I just wish I could correlate this better to something. It does seem like it's often in correlation to high yards per attempt, though. Because 29 or a break tackle of 43, 20s are all, these guys are all in the fives. Of course, there's a guy with 36 and only had a 4.4, which is only half, Josh Jacobs. So that's a lot. He had a lot of broken tackles, but just couldn't get the yards because people were hitting him all the time. So yeah, it's hard to find a correlation. See if I can find a correlation with some of these other values, I could better determine when those numbers are more common. So you can sort here, Kareem Hunt, but yards per attempt, 37 broken tackles. But these guys, look at him, Melvin Gordon, 30 broken tackles, but only averaged 3.9 per attempt. Rushing yards before contact. That's kind of interesting. I think it has a lot to do with how much contact, what kind of contact it is. But hey, look at that guy, Melvin Gordon. Melvin Gordon, if I remember correctly, yeah, he was a mover. He was a Barry Sanders kind of guy, and Barry Sanders had numbers like this: tackles for a loss, big numbers. I think there's years he had over 100, but he'd still get 1,500 yards in the season. That's how good he was. He'd have 100 and some yards tackle for loss in a season, but he'd have 1,500 yards in the season. So really, if you think about it, he rushed probably for well over 1,600, 1,700 yards a season, but his tackle for loss tended to offset that. So he was even better than you think, because he would still get crazy amounts of 1,500 yard seasons and be doing it by rushing a lot of losing yards. It was kind of a knock against him. That's because he'd scramble so much that sometimes he did not get away. Sometimes he'd lose big yards doing it. Those things are rarely on the highlight reel, right? They're always keeping track of your bad days, bad plays. I don't know. I can't find a real distinct correlation between. See, this is a thing you can tell a lot of times. This is common with guys like Barry Sanders and Melvin Gordon, because I remember him. He was a mover, kind of guy who made people miss. If they have long runs that often come out. They often have really long runs like this, along with this. This is actually a common occurrence for guys who move around a lot. So let's go look at like a 2000. Just go look at 2015. Let's see if that's the case. Big plays. I mean, there might be other guys that don't. Look at C75, but he also has a negative 77. Some of the biggest runs come out of guys that are willing to scramble around. Look at that, negative 104, but he had a long of 80. Now, sometimes the guys will break otherwise, but you see not very many really long runs here, because these guys who just get, so-so runs, they're not making people miss. They're not dodging and weaving and they're just plowing through. So sometimes they plow through and they'll get, they'll get some yards, but usually the guys that are negative 70, negative 100, these guys can move on their feet. They got some good skills on their feet. Now, this guy, look at negative 92, had he could never break one. Devontae Freeman was struggling to get his breaks, but his yaw-con wasn't great. His break tackles were minimal. He must have been a smaller guy. Wasn't able to quite do it. Who else? A Christian McCaffrey is a guy I would expect to see on here. Breaking. He was injured so much, so it's kind of hard to track Christian McCaffrey. Yeah, he's not. Christian McCaffrey's a guy who's like amazing, except Derrick Henry's another bulldozer. He actually just ran over people. He didn't have a lot of losses because he would generally not run backwards at all. And he was strong and fast, so he would hit and take off. I mean, I say that like it was a long time ago. It really wasn't that long ago. But that doesn't tell me much. I mean, I guess it helps with break tackles. I mean, there's power guys that broke tackles. There's guys who moved around. Like Christian McCaffrey. Look, he had a 4.7 yards per attempt and rarely ever broke tackles. And what that tells me is that he moved around and guys didn't make contact with him. Because that's what Christian McCaffrey is. He's a move around kind of guy. But guys like Nick Chubb, with their 5, they have high break tackles. Derrick Henry is, he's got 4.4, but he's got a high break tackles. These guys are running people over. So what does that say? Does that say Christian McCaffrey is not as good a runner? No, he's just as good, if not better. Theoretically, you'd think he'd get hurt less than he does, but when he does get hit, he's a little fragile. But it's just tough. It's hard to say what their break tackle is. Not the ultimate break tackle modifier. I think it's mostly yards per attempt. I think it has to be yards per attempt. I mean, you can go with other qualifiers, but I don't think Christian McCaffrey's ever actually been known for being a bruiser. So if he gets hit, he might go down, but his thing was to avoid getting hit. That was a lot. Barry Sanders was he wasn't a small guy. He was muscular, but he was short at a low center of gravity. So he was actually pretty tough and could hit people. Well, look, 5.4 yards a carry, only 13 broken tackles. I mean, he had nearly 1,500 yards of running, but only had 13 broken tackles. He's just a guy who doesn't get hit. That's how he plays. He just runs and does stuff with the ball. Uses his speed. So I'm struggling with finding anything other than yards per attempt to determine a player's break tackle ability. Because break tackle is more than breaking tackles. It's not getting hit, making people miss you completely, or they never make contact. They don't make contact. You broke that tackle. The guy dived at you. He lunged at you. He just couldn't get a hold of you. It was a tackle attempt that missed. Therefore, it's a broken tackle. But these broken tackles are, these guys hit you and yet you shredded them or shedded them. And that's a different, yes, that's a broken tackle as well, but that's usually reserved for big guys, strong guys, maybe really fast guys who, yeah, they fall down too. So really it's a tricky one. And you really only have yards per attempt to determine how good somebody is at breaking tackles. And now I got to figure out what is I would not use break tackles solely. You have to have some, if I had that marker, I would use it along with yards per attempt to kind of give a better feel. I also like, that helps determine your speed. Ugh. Tackle loss per yard. Tackle loss yards. That's just movement, but that doesn't tell you. Tackles per loss. Yards before contact. Look at it. Christian McCaffrey's yards before contact is really good. Yeah, Derrick Henry's, good grief. Yards before contact. Well, Christian McCaffrey was 573 is more, but not much more. But when Derrick Henry was hit, actually Derrick Henry did not beat Christian McCaffrey in yards after contact either. Yeah, Christian McCaffrey's thing is his speed. Look at, he had 886 yards before contact. But again, that speed, it could also be that he's just making people miss. Maybe that's the common denominator. Some ratio of yards before contact and broken tackles would be a good combo. Because if yards before contact implies you don't get hit very often or don't get hit very quickly. But it's also a tough one to measure. I want something I can measure over all time. So what stats are available? There's no broken tackle stats. Yeah, yards after contact, yards before contact. Those things don't really exist. It's yards per attempt. But if I just go with yards per attempt for my broken tackle modifier, that's going to be, it's not really fair, right? It's like, how do you measure that in? How do I balance that against other players? And it's like saying everybody who has a 5.5 is good at breaking tackles. No, some of them might have just been super fast. So is it maybe the more attempts? One, two, three, four, five. I guess it's like 5 years. Well, almost 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and almost 7 years of his 8 years. I thought he played 8 years. That's like 9. 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's 10 seasons. He played 10 seasons. The math must be wrong there because 89 to 98? Really? Because I thought that other thing only showed him for 8 years. Huh. It did show 10 years here, though. Weird. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think he is the only NFL rusher in history to have over 1,000 yards for every single year of his career. What are the bold season totals indicate player led the league? Oh, well, yeah. Really? 16 TDs led the league? That's not very much. I mean, I feel like people have had 20 to 30 TDs. Yeah, how would I? .1. Yeah, they don't have a lot of those other stats. It's just average. They don't even have things like yards per game, yards per attempt. What is success? Like successful rush gains at least 40% of yards required on first down. Really, a successful rush gains at least 40% of yards required on first down, 60% of yards required on second down, and 100% on third or fourth down. Huh. Interesting. I did not know that. Do they? I didn't even know. Do they still track that? It's actually kind of an interesting stat. I was wondering because that's how I'm keeping track of play stats, how plays perform on the game. So when you run a play, how did it do? And some of them are whether they're successful or not successful. For me, successful was while I was thinking successful would be just anything where you got positive yards. But it might be kind of interesting to keep and use a standard such as this. It might be more complicated, but it would be interesting to try. You could simplify and just say it has to gain at least X. But true, on third and fourth down, you need 100%. There's no it's not a success if you got stopped for what you were trying to get. 40% on a single play on first down, you have to go 10. So they're saying what, a minimum of 4 yards. Technically, it should be a minimum of 4 yards. But why would you run a running play a 10-yard gain? I would think a running play is still successful if you got 6 yards, even though you needed 10. Because you got 6 yards, it's a running play. If you're expecting more than 6 yards on a running play, you shouldn't run a running play. Yes, running plays are pretty good, and you might get a good running back. But if you're trying to get 10 plus yards, 7, 8, 9, 10 yards, you don't run a running play. If you absolutely need something, you pass, unless you just like going for the surprise. But if you don't get it, a running play that scores 6, 7, 8, 9 on a 10-yard run is still a successful run. It was just a bad play call. I'm sorry, you got a good result. You just shouldn't have called that play. That was not what that play is meant for. Running plays are never meant for 10-yard gains. That's why they're considered big plays. So I don't know. I mean, it would be a big play to run for 10 yards, and if you get it, good on you. But to call your play a failure because it only got 9 yards, it's not the play's fault. It's the stupid call. There may be plays that are designed to get 3, 4, 5 yards, but there's not, unless it's a pass play, it's probably not designed to get 10 yards. Any running play that you expect to get 10 yards every time you run it, you're dreaming, man. It's not going to happen unless you've got like the greatest offense in the history of forever. So looking at Barry Sanders, I don't see anything that stands out for what would make a great break tackle other than using his yards per rush, which would indicate he's pretty hard to tackle because he gets a lot of rushing yards, 6.1, 5.1, 4.8, 5.7. And even these first 5.31, 4.5, these are all really good. Anything above 4.5 yards is an indicator of pretty high break tackle. I would have to scale it against something. But ultimately, I would love to get some other value in there. I just don't know what other value to include. Yak is probably a pretty good one to include too, yards after catch. They don't even show his yak on here. Minute. Yards, receiving yards per game. This 1D. First downs received. Scrimmage. Yards for scrimmage, receiving and rushing. Rushing and receiving touchdown. Huh. Well, yeah. I can't think of another indicator. Maybe a consideration of long, but that's only a single play. I mean, single play for a season. It's not very helpful. I mean, that could just be anybody. Anybody can get an 85-yard run and never get touched if they're fast. That does, or even break a tackle. Maybe just people can't catch up to you. They don't get a chance. It's not even a break tackle scenario. And that's why yards per rush is also a little misleading. Some guys are just really fast. They don't get hit until it's 6 yards down the field, but they don't break any tackles. They're just fast, and they don't. They make a lot of ground up. It doesn't mean anything to their ability of dodging people. People who move around a lot, typically small guys who are fast, though, if they get breathed on hard while they're running, they'll go down. So yeah, they may not consistently get that yards per attempt because they're fast, but some guy gives them the elbow and he goes flying. So I don't know. I don't have any good other tools to decipher yards per break tackling skills. I do have other things that I can use for my YPR, which is what I'll use for other things. But yeah. Okay, time for break.